Welcome back. This is TSL Ro32 final game. This is the day one. We've seen some pretty surprising results, I'd say, at the very least. And chill, I have the geek chills in my blood. I'm getting to cast Slayer's Boxer, my life idol, but he might get knocked out right here and now.
Yeah, seriously. As we move on, they're both at 1-1 in this best of three. Game number 3 here on Krabos. Spawning in the bottom right as the red Protoss, we have Prae.NightEnD. And in the top left, we have my idol, your idol, everyone's idol, Slayer's Boxer in the blue Terran, sending out that first SCV, and looks like he's going to make a depot. He's such a genius.
Gosh, I love it. Already we can get a little bit of information. Boxer has not really been too wall-off friendly in his games, so the fact that he's putting that depot indicates that he's probably going to be leaning towards that high ground expansion, NightEnD, per usual, playing very defensively. I mean, Pylon's almost always touching his Nexus, wanting to keep everything tight at the early game as to not get caught off guard in the slightest.
And let's take a second to just look at the next round and the implications of this match. Either of these players are, if they win this game and move on to the round of 16, are going to be facing Fnatic Sen. So we're not going to have a mirror matchup either way. They're both going to be playing it as Zerg. Boxer has said in his NASL, I guess, interview or application that he's had a lot of problems against Zerg. But again, in Brood War, Boxer probably the most famous for his TVZ. So an exciting matchup. Yet again, the PVZ matchup also very interesting. We haven't seen any of it today, but I wouldn't mind to see that in the round of 16. So good options on the table either way.
Absolutely. I mean, really, I would be delighted to see Boxer's improve TVZ. But unfortunately, he's going to have to work through NightEnD first, and I don't even think it's that much of a relaxation to know that you got to face Sen after the way he demolished Phoenix. We do see that there's that command center going down on the high ground, more Marines getting churned out, and I'm curious again to see how Slayer's Boxer will transition out of this, whether he's going to go for the usual mass barracks follow-through, or whether he's going to do some sort of fast third base, as that is a little risky, but definitely possible if you defend it well.
So I'm a little surprised with NightEnD. He moves his first probe into the main base. He scouts the barracks, no add-on. He scouts the supply depot, and then he immediately hightails it directly out. So he doesn't check. He doesn't check for expansions. He doesn't check for gas timing whatsoever. So it's possible he feels his build is safe against all possibilities, or if he wants to attack, we'll have to see. Now bring that probe back to see the Marine, but you can't get a lot of information out of that.
There's a double gas going down for Boxer. Before his third barracks, let's see if he ends up trying to squeeze another one out. No, he's building a bunker. So might be going for that same style that we saw in Game 1, where he ends up with a kind of fast starport, so he can end up producing medevacs and begin harassing right away.
I think one modification Boxer needs to make to his play, if you take a risky fast expansion like this and it pays off, you need to use the income disparity to your advantage. So if you get a fast expansion, yeah, that's great, but then if you just sit back, you know, until you're both at 200, you haven't really gotten any advantage out of that unless you're getting insane upgrades. Boxer really hasn't pressed that fact too hard. I'd like to see him do that in game number 3 here, as we see him drop that factory.
Yeah, that's a great point. Boxer's being weirdly passive in these games, despite the fact that he's doing all these very odd tech patterns and very nice expansion timings. He just ends up kind of holding back, and it's been hurting him a lot against NightEnD, who quite frankly is getting a much better maxed composition.
Yeah, definitely. We see NightEnD dropping that robo yet again, third gateway on the way. He's also expanded greatly behind Boxer. The Nexus just about 50%, now passing the 50% mark. Meanwhile, Boxer's been mining out of his natural for quite a bit here. Income tab showing just a little bit of an advantage for Boxer. And it looks like he is going for that same composition with the very quick starport, adding on the reactor. Probably going to get those 2 medevacs and then push out with the small force off of the 2 barracks.
And per usual, NightEnD with the very, very fast observer getting chrono boosted out. NightEnD having absolutely no deviation if he can afford it in any of these games. I mean, we even have seen him get just 3 geysers on 2 bases, so the fact that this expo only has 1 makes his decision making even easier. And there
So
we even
if
see
we
Boxer.
Oh, I was just going to say, if we compare the architecture of this map to the situation that happened on Tal'Darim Altar, there is an opportunity for Boxer to do a little bit of drop harassment, as the path between the main base, where this destructible debris is, and the path to this high ground where NightEnd's natural expansion is, that's a long walking distance, and you've got to go through this small choke point. It's not like on Tal'Darim where they're almost unified, and you just have to bounce back and forth and be careful you don't miss any force fields. So if Boxer gets these quick medevacs out, which it looks like he is doing once he unsupply blocks himself, then there is the potential for him to pull NightEnd in 2 different directions and deal a lot of damage.
Yeah. I do think the drop play is going to be quite strong, and given the fact that Boxer's basically rushing for it,
Right.
I do think that it's going to be a little bit of some issues. We do see that those 2 medevacs making their way out very, very soon here. More barracks popping down right now for Boxer. But gosh, as you say, Chill, no upgrades coming out. No big advantages being, reached for, given the fact that he did take this really fast expo.
And also to add to that fact, he's behind in the harvester count by 7 STVs. He's treading water with the income compared to NightEnd, but he's not getting any huge advantages out of this early expansion that he put up.
Yeah, either way, we are seeing that our good friend NightEnd now getting just 1 Stargate. Can't afford 2 as he only has 3 geysers. Don't know if that'll hurt him a lot. A lot of Phoenixes are actually quite helpful. Like 7 Phoenixes are not anywhere close to good as 14 Phoenixes. The higher the number of Phoenixes you get, they exponentially get better and better because they can support one another with those lifts. And look at NightEnd with the money warp and timing at the back door to repel those medevacs.
Yeah, very nice. He's got this 1 observer watching for drops, which he also had this other observer, which is now in the middle of the map, which saw that Stargate and saw everything Boxer was doing in there. Boxer has been pretty bad about clearing those observers out. We've seen, especially at the pro level, very easy to see that little glitch in the matrix as you walk under them and scan and snipe them out, but Boxer not being that diligent at taking those observers out.
1 Stalker does get sniped at that North Xel'Naga watchtower. There's a Marine hanging out for Boxer along the left flank. Very smart, as that is his primary drop route. Needs to keep vision there. Boxer still not making any attempt to expand. This would really be the time for Boxer to expand, given the fact that he has essentially contained NightEnd with these 2 medevacs. NightEnd is not comfortable at all moving out. I mean, look at this. Boxer even waltzing a Marine right into the main of NightEnd, getting the chance to see everything because of how pulled back NightEnd is.
And NightEnd actually being the first to expand, which is a little bit surprising to me. Going to push out and take that 3rd base, dropping the double assimilator on there. Let's see if he follows this up by getting a 3rd Stargate once he can afford it with those 2 additional geysers. He's also dropping 2 photon cannons back so that he can push forward and not have to worry about his natural expansion being dropped while he's out on the map.
I'm not so sure how much I like that cannon placement, though. I mean, that bottom edge is just still completely vulnerable. Either way, it looks like the Colossi, as NightEnd loves to do, getting a few free shots off. 4 Vikings down right now for Boxer, who does have center control, but still no expansion.
And actually, NightEnd, without those geysers, he's having a lot of trouble getting that extended thermal lance up. Now, finally, has begun researching it. Now building more Phoenixes, chrono boosting out the thermal lance, and taking that 3rd base. But what is Boxer's follow-up here? I mean, it looks like he just wants to make this bio ball and try to roll through NightEnd, but I feel yet again NightEnd's composition is better.
Yeah, you've got to control the watchtowers. You have to do more drop plays. Even if you aren't able to get in there and do direct damage, the fact that he has so many units pinned to defending, I mean, there's just so much ground to cover on Crevasse from essentially any angle. So we're going to see NightEnd begin to slowly pull farther and farther ahead, and really Boxer's going to be in dire straits if he doesn't begin acting soon.
But Boxer is doing well to control the skies. He's got 10 Vikings out and not as many Phoenixes out for NightEnd. I only see 2 with the main army. Go ahead and throw the units tab up and take a look if that's true. Looks like there's 3 on the field, so 1 just hanging out. So Boxer will, unlike the other games where the Phoenixes mitigated a lot of the damage, Boxer will be able to attack and deal a lot of damage. He's now got his Ghost out, and NightEnd is trying to get that 2nd Stargate out, but this is a nice timing for Boxer if he wants to push forward and try to snipe out those Colossi.
Does look like NightEnD has a very, very potent force, rallying those Phoenixes again to an area in between his two bases so that way he can maximally defend against those sorts of drop attacks. And it looks like Boxer getting increasingly threatening. And like you said last game, Chill, look at how active that Observer is being. I mean, a lot of people love criticizing players for being overly passive, but NightEnD is one of the most watchful passive players that you will ever see. He has his eye on that minimap, moving that Observer around, making certain that he positions everything properly because he knows how fragile of a position he's in.
Yeah, you're exactly right. That's one of the most frustrating things, to watch someone who's blindly passive. He just sits back and says, well, I don't think he's going to do this, and then it happens and he gets just completely, absolutely murdered. NightEnD has worked that into his style. He gets those two Observers out, keeps one of them to watch for drops, the other one goes straight into the main base, and is active around the map. He's seeing what Boxer's up to the entire time. Boxer's Viking count is getting scary here. He's sitting at 14 Vikings in the main army in the center. That's going to be able to do a lot of damage, but NightEnD has completed construction of the second Stargate, starting to churn out those Phoenixes to match Boxer's Viking numbers.
I really do not think Boxer is going to be comfortable in this final engagement. I mean, we're already seeing that NightEnD is getting up a good amount of gateways. He can even afford to throw down 3 more. We see that there is that +1 ground weapon going down that will really help those Colossi tear through those units even harder. And look at this NightEnD taking a 4th, calm as can be, not doing anything overly aggressive. He is really, really sticking to his guns and his basic thought process of his build very, very well.
Yeah, and he doesn't even move his army over to defend that expansion. He keeps it watching for Boxer breaking down these destructible rocks. He keeps it at his 3rd base, which is more valuable to him than a potential 4th base. I'm sure once that gets up and mining, he'll reposition his army, but he's also controlling this eastern Zalnega watchtower, being very watchful on the map. Supplies 200 for Boxer, 189 for NightEnD. Boxer also taking a 4th base in the center of the map, and we're reaching a front here in the middle of this map.
And there it looks like Boxer's now darting forward, just going to target fire that Nexus from afar. NightEnD cancels, doesn't even engage. Playing it passive, playing it calmly. Definitely needs to add on more gateways so that way he can replenish in this engagement. There's the Ghost for Boxer, starting to bleed into the left side. He wants to get off some good EMPs. This could be a final battle if Boxer gets the good EMPs off. We could see exactly what we saw in Game 1 where Boxer demolishes the army and the Phoenixes are even unable to do anything.
Yeah, scan going off yet again. Boxer looking for a good EMP. He wants to get his Vikings in to start sniping the Colossus. One-shots of Colossus. Now the army pulled back. Boxer yet again hitting it. EMP potential is huge here as the units begin to clump up. Boxer stims and goes for it. He's rushing forward. This is it. This is going to be the final battle of this match as they move forward. A lot of units being lost on both sides. Looks like the Vikings able to target down the Colossi, dealing a ton of damage. Is Boxer going to be able to live this? Looks like he's getting the benefit of it. Starting to crush through, and the lines are starting to be drawn. We're seeing who's going to... Oh my god, probes coming off the line. It looks like Boxer is actually going to be able to crush through this army.
Oh, Boxer with some amazing one-shot play with all of those Vikings. Now we even see another expansion command center being taken. The Expo does fall. Boxer stims. He's trying to sprint up to pick off that next Colossus, but no, it looks like there are enough units coming out right now for Boxer to be able to continue to repel. This is an atrocious position for NightEnD to be in. Boxer played the match battle perfectly.
And Boxer reinforcing with Ghost, keeps dropping those EMPs on the Phoenixes to keep them useless. You can see this one landed Viking at the western edge of the 3rd natural of NightEnD landed as he was reinforcing with Vikings, didn't want to lose that to Phoenixes. Very nice. NightEnD trying to be aggressive and pushing forward, and there goes that Viking. But Boxer clearly has a superior army at this point. 133 for Boxer, 88 for NightEnD, but a lot of Boxer's units deep in the red.
Oh gosh, if just a couple shots of those Colossi pop down, that could be a very dangerous situation to be in. Note though that with the huge amount of money that NightEnD has, he can get a huge amount of Zealots out. If we go back to Boxer's base, he's trying to make more Vikings, but he has to add on 2 more starports because of the fact that really you have to spend almost all game building up the number of Vikings that he did. So suddenly, NightEnD has a little bit of a breather.
And NightEnD actually has... okay, he's fixed it. There was a time where he had misrallied his robotics, so didn't want to get into a final battle and missing some Colossi, but he's now remedied that. 1 Colossus is sitting in the main base. Still, NightEnD is doing well to, I guess, recover his economy and get back in it. His supply starting to shoot up. Boxer still has a commanding lead, but you know, it's clearly not over yet. It's going to come down yet again to those big EMPs that Boxer was able to use to win Game 1 and also to bring the hurt here in game number 3.
We see 3 ghosts on the field, 2 with almost max energy, 1 with not too much. But NightEnD is in absolutely rough position right now. He is almost mined out at his second base. His main is gone. He is just now starting to get that trickle of money in from his third, and his fourth is up after a second attempt. Boxer's factory in the top right landed and burning down. Boxer rebuilding, re-rallying in the center, but still relatively low Viking count.
Yes, and Boxer adding 4 more barracks in the northeastern side of the, or northwestern, side of the map. +2/+2 upgrades have begun for Boxer and are about halfway complete. Meanwhile, NightEnd's production looking pretty bare. Just a couple probes on the way to reestablish his economy, and 1 Colossus, which just completes. Another one joins its place, but he really needs just some breathing room. If Boxer maxes and attacks at that time, it's going to be extremely difficult and extremely uncomfortable for NightEnd to deflect that.
Boxer, I love the way he's playing this out, adding on a lot more barracks, and in particular these 2 command centers to just go mad crazy with mules. That'll allow him to support and replenish in this final battle. I mean, even if NightEnd does get the better of Boxer's force, he can rebuild so incredibly quickly that he'll be able to pull back into the game. Those Vikings from Boxer rejoining, and this is, again, getting very tense.
Yeah, a lot of ghosts in this army for Boxer. There's 6 ghosts in the center, and a lot of Vikings. I believe there's 16 Vikings in the middle of the map there. Really difficult army composition for NightEnd to deal with without any sort of High Templar to cast Psionic Storm, and he just doesn't have the time to get High Templar up. He's churning out as many units as he can to live this next attack. He's getting close to max, but it looks like Boxer's pressing forward to attack.
And there it is. There's a stim. He's darting forward. He's trying to maintain the concave, but again, the
oh
perfect
my
EMPs
God.
pick off all the Phoenixes. Lot of Marauders out on the field, and all of the Vikings doing massive damage to those Colossi. The Phoenix numbers are small, but it looks like, oh no, there's almost no units left to defend against those Colossi. The Colossi now pulling back, getting just murdered. The Vikings land, the Marauders surround, and NightEnd's options are running dry. Just the 3 Colossi left on the field. The landed Vikings take some damage before lifting up and finishing their job. The Marauders at the front taking damage, but just stim, pick off the Colossi, and Boxer looks like he will be able to win Game 3. And there it is.
Wow. You know, this entire series has come down to EMP placement and EMP mitigation, and when the EMPs hit, they hit big. NightEnd went into that battle with no shields and no energy on everything, and just got completely steamrolled. And the one game 2, when he was able to avoid that, you know, he crushed that entire the entire battle in the center, rolled through Boxer's army, and took the game easily. So EMP, you know, this entire series hinging on EMP. I just want to drill that in one more time.
Very well played by Boxer. I mean, in general, those max versus max fights are so threatening for the Terran player because of the fact that the Colossus the Colossus Phoenix Stalker, everything mix is just so potent when it's that big. I mean, the clustering with the Thermal Lance is very hard for the Terran to be able to deal with, but Boxer really demonstrating that if you can place those EMPs properly and you can manage your Vikings in battle well, that you can easily crush a lot of those forces.
Yeah, so let's play a little bracket craft, if you will, and look ahead what we're going to see in the round of 16. On the left side of the bracket, we're going to have Liquid Tyler taking on Prae.NightEnD. Very interesting PVT. I mean, Thorazane made a lot of fans today, taking out TSL Fruit Dealer, but I don't know how strong his TVP is going to be. He seems like the kind of guy, I get the feeling, he puts a lot of time into preparation for his opponent. So it's going to be an interesting matchup to see those two go at it.
Yeah, and on the other side, of course, we're going to have Boxer against Sen. Sen, a little bit more aggressive, a little bit more solid at managing those sorts of early pressures from Terran and then doing big counter sweeps. So as much as everyone loves Slayer's Boxer and would love him to win every tournament of all time, he's going to have a very challenging battle against Sen.
And that's not it for the TSL. That's it for today, but we're going to be back tomorrow for more round of 32 action, casted by DJ Wheat and H to the Usky Husky. We have the lineup for tomorrow. It's going to be OGS MC taking on Sierra. That is going to be a bit of a difficult match for Sierra, but miracles have happened. We're going to see White Raw taking on Loner, Hasuobs taking on Liquid Huck, and followed by my favorite match of the day. It's going to be Liquid Jinro taking on Mouse Moro.
Yeah, that is a very sick lineup, especially if you're a Protoss player. There's so many Protoss heroes duking it out. I'm in particular excited for Hasuobs against Huck because of the fact that I've seen both of those players do a lot of cool things in that matchup. Huck, in a lot of his recent GSL games, just opting for the straight 4-gate, but I'm always excited to see two Protosses who know how to take it to the late game, so that way we can see some sort of cool transitions, expanding, Blink Stalker play, Templar, the works.
So don't miss it. I mean, it's going to be a big cast tomorrow. A lot of big names. I mean, a lot of big names on the entire bracket, if you look at it. But specifically tomorrow, you won't want to miss it. To a lot of our TSL virgins today, I want to say thank you for joining us. Hope you appreciated the broadcast. And I want to say thank you to Day 9. Always a pleasure casting with you, my friend.
Thank you. As with you, Chill, of course, for any of you who didn't know, Chill regularly moderating the Team Liquid forums, making sure that discourse is educated and funny.
Yes, and among other reasons for moderating. But I think that's going to be it for today. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Don't miss us tomorrow. It's going to be at 2 p.m. Eastern, and I believe that translates to 11 a.m. Pacific time. You're not going to want to miss it. See you tomorrow.
Peace!